Welcome, I'm Alexis Kerr, I'm a business manager for Lockport Operations, also part of the Women in Program Management, and with that, you've entered our two-part session on Lunch and Learn. The first part is public speaking. This is defining your image in the new GM, so we again would like to welcome you. And with that, I'm going to introduce Amy Lebeski, who again is a business manager as well for GMCH. And Amy will introduce our speaker, and then you'll hear from our speaker. We'll have a 20-minute question and answer session, and then we'll also have a wrap-up. So with that, again, thank you all for coming. Feel free to find a seat and enjoy.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Lebeski, and I'm pleased to have Mr. Ed Foxworth as our Lunch and Learn guest speaker for today. Just wanted to make a few comments relative to Ed's bio. Ed is an entrepreneur, author, and national speaker who is highly sought after to present before corporations, colleges and universities, nonprofit organizations, and conferences throughout the United States. Mr. Foxworth was raised in a suburb of New York City, where he quickly grew up with 4 brothers and sisters in the house and battled the low-income lifestyle that invited opportunities to make poor choices. He integrates his childhood experiences and life lessons into messages of passion, faith, and perseverance. His career path has consisted of working as a community service director in some of Charlotte, North Carolina's poorest neighborhoods, a community development specialist in Detroit, Michigan's toughest communities, followed by progressive experiences as a nonprofit chief executive officer, a TV radio personality, university instructor, corporate diversity coach, author, and speaker. From an educational standpoint, Mr. Foxworth holds a master's in business administration degree from the University of Phoenix and sits on several nonprofit boards. Ed has a passion for encouraging Americans to work harder at self-sufficiency. He has been featured in Black Enterprise, Fusion Magazine, World Traveler Magazine, Rolling Out, the University of Phoenix's alumni magazine, and countless newspaper articles. His experience as a broadcast journalist on CBS, CW50, Radio 1, and Detroit's independently owned WGPR Radio has given him an opportunity to inform thousands on significant trends in America, cultural preferences among brand-loyal consumers, and stories of people overcoming the odds despite their challenges. With that said, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Ed Foxworth.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Sure? Good. We're going to talk about public speaking a little bit today. Just the introduction. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you to Alexis for all of the hard work that you all have put in to make this day be what it's hopefully going to be. And that is one that fills us with information about public speaking. That intro always kind of, humbles us a little bit because you're like, okay, stop, enough of that. That stuff is in the past. We don't want to talk about that. But I certainly am excited about the experiences that I've had and how they bring me to this point today. Public speaking, it's an area that I wonder how many people experience with so many others, that fear of being in front of an audience and what they might say, think, or feel. I've had the great fortune of being able to speak in front of a couple of different organizations. National Coalition of 100 Black Women, the Michigan Association for Female Entrepreneurs, that fantastic organization that I happen to be a part of, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, the YMCA, and then a number of other organizations. And those organizations have had major conferences where they've invited individuals like me to come in and say a few words. And so our agenda is going to be real short today. We're going to talk a little bit about the purpose of what public speaking is about, how we apply that knowledge, and then the delivery. And then we want to make sure that we give you some keys to success, because by the time you walk out of here, there ought to be some things that you want to take with you that you can say, okay, you know what, I got a good understanding beyond what I already knew about public speaking. And lastly, that most important part of motivating and engaging your audience. That part is always pretty interesting. And one of the things I suggest about motivating and engaging your audience, I'll do like Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind. Because if you remember when you were in high school, when you were in elementary school, in the kindergarten, as a kindergartner, the principal would get closer to you. And as the principal got closer to you, what happened? You started paying attention a little bit more. You got quieter. And so that's one of the ways that, and certainly, again, beginning with the end in mind, that we can do just that. Making sure that you interact and engage with your audience. Okay. Speaking in public scares more people than dentists, falling, or death. You believe that? Death? Really? How many people say yes to death? How many people say yes to the dentist? How many people say falling? Okay, there must be some others out there because I didn't see too many hands raised. Public speaking is a fun area to be able to be engaged in because you are sharing information. And so what we want to do is talk about what is the purpose of that message. We first have to know whether you're there to inform someone, whether in fact you want to try and discipline them. And that comes at a stern time, and your whole demeanor and image has to take on a persona of its own. If you're there to hire or promote someone, it's totally different than if you have to let someone go. And then lastly, when you want to engage them, what is the purpose for why you want to have that meeting or speak in front of an audience? Today it is to inform you about public speaking as a general practice of talking with audiences. So I encourage open and organic exchange of ideas and information. Why? Because it brings about new breakthroughs and better insight. You learn things from people. That exchange, that opportunity to talk to someone and find out what their pluses are and what their areas of improvements are. You want to learn some things because like we all talk about education being a lifelong learning process. So public speaking then begins to be this thing that we do a variety of things with. We want to motivate employees. We want to try to find a way to rev up sales. The last thing, and most importantly, we want to really provide clarity to some real issues. There's some things we need to talk about. And we all got scared when we were a kid and we used to say, Mom, hey, I want to talk to you. That did what to you? That made your nerves kind of feel a little uneasy because you were wondering, okay, what is this going to be about? And it's simply what we're talking about, an open exchange of information and ideas. So when we look at this whole process and you think about that whole idea of your parent wanting to talk to you or supervisor wanting to talk to you or you wanting to talk to other people, it's important, yes, to be knowledgeable about your topic. Got to know kind of what you're talking about, right? It's important. That makes sense. One of the things I would suggest is that experience and observations rule. Whenever you can have that self-disclosure, be transparent. Whenever you can share information with individuals that they may not have known before. Some people are a little afraid of that. 7 keys for delivering successfully. The first one is know the room. Why do we need to know the room? Well, you heard Alexis stand here and tell you that in case of a tornado, we need to do what? Orderly move out of that room down the hallway. It's important to know the room because there are going to be some strong points and some weak points in that room. And as I walk around, I can get a chance to see and pay attention to nonverbal communication and know, if I'm in front of an audience, what they're thinking, how they're feeling today, and whether or not I'm getting through. Because if I'm not, then the BlackBerry's out, I'm texting, I'm maybe writing some notes, I'm doing some other things. So you want to know the room. You certainly want to know the audience, because the audience, as I see today, is a nice-sized audience of individuals that are overachievers. Because everyone that came in, not everyone, but a lot of people that came in, maybe except these 2 people here, sat in the back of the room. Now, why do we do that? Besides wanting to say, I can skate out early once I'm done. I can leave real quickly. But part of that is that, we don't want to be up front. We don't want to get picked on. Just like when you go to a comedy show. Nobody wants to sit in front. Why? Because they think they're going to get called on and get picked on. So we try to make sure that we know the audience. We also want to relax. If you feel nervous, take a deep breath. You know, the old idea of counting to 10 certainly works. You also want to visualize presenting the speech. Imagine sitting there and having that conversation with someone, your audience. This isn't about a dictatorship or a monologue where I just stand up here and lecture. It's all of us working together to get to an end point. So it's a dialogue, an exchange of information. So relax and enjoy it. But also realize that most people want to see the speaker succeed. I hope you all hope that for me, huh? When I came here today, I'm like, wow, once I get here, I don't know how many people are saying, this guy might trip over himself or, fall off this platform with this bright yellow tape that I noticed. Fantastic to be able to see that. But realize that most people want you to see, but they do want it to also be what? Interesting. Nobody likes to walk into a place and know that it's not going to be what they expected. Concentrate on the message, not the audience. As much as I like these bright, shiny faces that I'm looking at here, I can't pay so much attention to that I lose focus of what the message is, and that is to talk about public speaking. Lastly, make sure that you project loudly and clearly so that everyone can hear you. You are articulating some messages, and you want them to capture what that's about. Imagine if I couldn't talk that loud, and the people in the back of the room. It's one of the glasses. See how that gets everyone's attention? That's pretty interesting because you can do that with a number of different things, both lowering your voice as well as intentional pauses. Public speaking involves those kinds of things, intentional pauses. And it's okay to let things marinate. One of the things that wasn't mentioned, I happen to own a marketing and communications agency, and in that agency I always ask people one question. What does success look like for you? And then I stop, intentionally. I have to let that marinate in their head. And so often as human beings, we want to keep talking. What does success look like for you? Because I mean, success and other people define it a different way, and it could be this and that. The question is gone. Versus if I say, what does success look for you? And then patiently and attentively wait. I tried this one. What is your dream job and why aren't you working it? What is your dream house and why aren't you living in it? What's your dream car and why aren't you driving it? Does everybody else see the light bulbs that are going off? Because what happens is people start digging into themselves a little bit and answering those questions. So a part of public speaking is being able to do that. You're facilitating information. I like taking these little phrases and throwing them out there to know that what we're talking about in terms of being a leader in the new GM, yes, sitting in front does have its downside. So I'm going to ask Ross McGregor over here, who I just happened to look at his tag and know his name, to read what we have up here. Loudly and clearly, please.
Organizations are continuously looking for innovative and creative.
Oh, sorry. There we go.
All right. Organizations are continuously looking for innovative and creative thinking professionals who are confident and committed to maximizing human capital, financial resources, and strategic processes that yield a competitive advantage.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that. Now I'm going to ask you to tell me what you think that means.
Be professional, be creative, and do what you think and what you do.
Fantastic. Can you add a little bit to that, please?
I think they just want great employees, right? Motivated, excited, confident.
Very good. And if you would, just differentiate that between leadership and management. What's the difference between a leader and a manager?
The manager is picky in little details and harassing people. The leader inspires.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that very much. So that's one way that we transfer that information in terms of making sure that we understand that what we're talking about here is not just a bunch of words.